To people in Florida, how is the evacuation situation with Hurricane Milton? St. Petersburg resident here. Honestly, the evacuation wasn't horrible. I ended up going to Orlando, still in the path of the storm, but should be much less intense. The worst part of all of this is the dread. There's such a heavy grief and sadness in St. Petersburg, and it was really hard to leave knowing I might be coming back to a disaster. I might come back, and my whole home and all my things are gone. I'm glad I'll be safe and physically sound, but I'm already mourning the city that I love so much and all the beautiful people that live there. Edit. It's incredibly endearing to see so much support and love being shared in these comments. The Tampa Bay community is so unbelievably special, as many of you are attesting to. If there's one silver lining in this, it's knowing that we are truly in this together and will rebuild together to restore this shared place we love. Interstates were bumper to bumper northbound all day Monday and Tuesday. They opened up the shoulders and in some cases turned southbound lanes into extra northbound lanes. I left Tampa for Orlando late Tuesday night, and I-4 was pretty clear by then. Gas is hard to find in some isolated areas, but it sounds like there's plenty on the evacuation routes, just long lines at the pumps. Most people are complying with the evacuation orders. It's been slow but orderly. It took my parents 10 hours to get to SC, and that's usually a 5-hour drive. It's just a lot of people to move. Edit. Just going to answer questions here instead of replying individually. Evacuation taking only twice as long as normal traffic is actually really good. Yes, Orlando is also in the path, but it's less prone to flash flooding here, and I have a generator which I don't have at home. My parents have an RV, so they evacuated out of state with that yesterday morning, and I'm staying at their place. I should be fine here. Biggest worry is tornadoes rolling through this afternoon, but there's really no dodging those anyway. I don't know anyone who thinks the government is making the hurricanes, but I don't really hang out with dumbasses. It seems like most people in the Tampa area are taking it seriously and acted early to evacuate appropriately. Helene was a decent warning shot for us, with record storm surge. They're saying this one will likely have a bigger storm surge. We're still completely saturated, and they're predicting up to 18 inches of rainfall. So flash flooding is a big concern on top of storm surge, which is why I left to go inland even though I'm not in an evac zone. South Tampa, FL checking in. I lost most everything, including my car from Helene. I stayed in my apartment up until Monday. I'm in Zone A, which means mandatory evacuation. I took all that I had left and what could fit in my car. I had to leave some things behind. My cat and I are at a hotel, hopefully safe. Not entirely sure what or where my next move is. It's a scary, confusing, exhausting time. My aunt and uncle were planning on riding it out in Venice in order to support some neighbors who could not leave. That has changed, and they are gathering said neighbors and pets and going to our empty seasonal condo a ways inland. They can't get a hold of the property manager to get the key, but my uncle is a retired firefighter, and I am confident in his ability to get in. I told him I'll replace the damn door frame if I have to. Mom's pretty close to the path. She's hunkered down with the dog. All the windows are hurricane rated, newish roof to the latest code, whole house generator with buried propane tank to power it. She's outside the mandatory evacuation zone, and the local shelter is only like 300 yards away, as the crow flies anyway, and she's at close to the highest point in the county. Fingers crossed. This one feels very different. I'm inland by Orlando, so my experience has been more people heading this way. Resources are strapped, no gas, shelves empty, it's pretty bad. The worst part is the information train. It's hard to differentiate information. This storm is moving quick, and it is yet to de-intensify. It would be really nice for this thing to slow down. This storm is very scary. You can feel it. I pray for the West Coast and everyone in Milton's path. Let us all hope for this storm to de-escalate it as expected. Stay safe, everyone, and listen to yourself and the official messaging. Do not play games with this. A C543 is no joke. A C1 can be no joke. I'm in SWFL, but inland. Non-evac zone, 100 perts above sea level. My area is safe enough that we have shelters here for some evacuees, so we are at home prepped to shelter in place. A lot of people unfamiliar with Florida think we all, in the forecast cone, need to evacuate, but we don't. The evac zones exist for a reason, so the high risk areas can evacuate in time and not have to compete with millions of extra people from a low risk area. ETA. A lot of people are also unfamiliar with our topography. Every part of Florida does not have the same type of risks. Many of my friends live in evac zones AB and already evacuated between yesterday and today. Traffic was bad. 10-hour drives due to gridlock traffic, gas shortages, hotels fully booked all over, etc. Right now, it's just an eerie calm and waiting game. I lived through a couple hurricanes, and this is the first time I'm genuinely concerned. My dad and stepfamily are near Port Charlotte. They planned to ride it out when it was headed for Tampa. They saw the shift south yesterday, but they still weren't in an evacuation zone, so still decided to wait it out. Late last night, they finally got an alert that their zone needs to evacuate. There is no gas anywhere, and the only shelters they can make it to are also technically in the same zone they live in. They should have evacuated days ago when me and my brother were asking them to. Now they're SOL. They're totally boarded up and finally bought flotation devices after I begged them to. They're about 15 feet above sea level, so it's cutting it really close if the storm surge will get to them. I'm located in the Tampa Bay area, 6 miles from the coast. Here's my take. They evacuate by flood zones and type of residence here. If you are AB, you are in a low-lying coastal area with under 10 feet of sea level elevation and are under mandatory evacuation. If you are C in some places, it's mandatory. Any mobile homes or trailer parks are under mandatory notice to evacuate, and some are not leaving. Police are going door to door. I'm in Zone C in Pasco County, and it's voluntary here. We are currently out of the cone, ever so slightly out. The track bumped north all night after bumping south, so we could be back in at any time. We are not leaving, but my wife knows she can take off at any time if she wants, and I'll watch things here. Typical prep stuff going on. Moving the cars towards the house, boarding up windows, getting loose stuff inside so it does not fly away. Getting fuel and food over the last week was pretty crazy, and I've been here a long time. Because of Helene, you can't buy an empty gas can, or garbage bags around where I am. We are still recovering from a big storm, and those resources have not caught up yet to be replenished enough to prep. There is no wood available. It seems like my whole street is staying, and everyone is grilling, just walking around aimlessly. No stores are open today, so no one is working. It's actually kind of a nice day outside when it doesn't rain a little. Calm before the storm.